What up, what up, what up? So I'm not just staring into space. I am now live on the MMCast channel. There's some savage light behind me. Not the best. Feels like probably actually getting that light behind me is going to be better served to just take care of. So this mic's going to come over here for a sec. Boop. Be right back, guys. Probably this one back here, too. This one too? Seems that way. All right, we're back. What up? First question for you guys here on the stream. Can you hear me okay? Trying out a new mic tonight, trying the microphone from the camera, from the webcam. So we're going to see if that one works a little better. We're kind of working on stuff here. If you're brand new to the thing, say what's up. There's a live chat here going on. Hello, Michael Hahn. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I would love to know that. Check out this sweet Action Industries Advisory Board swag. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Just got these in. It's my other brand that I do, Action Industries, over on the Action Industries YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to already, subscribe. We made these advisory board hoodies for the advisory board. It's our team of effectively, they're more than interns. They like run the whole ship. Everybody works together and is awesome. Anyway, we're here to talk about magic. Sweet. There's some people in the chat here. I'm excited to see all you guys. Remember, if you're watching the video and you want to hear we talk about brews, go ahead and click that like button, subscribe, notifications. I'm a minute 36 into this thing. It's going to be kind of a shorter one tonight, probably somewhere in the range of like 40 minutes, 45. But holy moly, do I have some fun brews to talk to you guys about tonight. I've decided to start doing this routinely. At least once a week, sitting down here straight to camera, just the one-man show setup, talking to you guys about the brew ideas that I have. You know, I was on an airplane today. I was on an airplane yesterday. I'll be on one later this week. I'm going to Magic Fest Seattle this weekend, doing a live podcast from Seattle. Boom. Alex and I are going to be doing the Masters of Modern live from there, which is really, 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 really sweet. But I have been thinking a lot about various cards from M20 that I'm seeing spoiled. I'm seeing cards from Modern Horizons that I'm brewing with. I talked to you guys about this like Fairy Miscreant Force of Negation thing the other day. I made a couple updates to that brew in case anybody listening here heard about it and is interested to hear more about it. I am going to talk to you guys about a lot of cool stuff tonight. So right now, I've been live for 2.5 minutes. There are 13 of you watching and only one like. So I'm going to just keep harping on this, guys, because it's important that if you're watching the video and you are streaming and enjoying it, that you just click the like button. Literally, that's all you got to do. Just click the thumbs up. Let's get those likes up to the same number that are watching the video. Yes, holy crap. Matthew Monzo wants me to know that Leyline reprint. Yeah, there's a bunch. We got Sanctity. We got Void. Did you guys see the green one? Holy crap. Holy crap. The green one is nuts. It's the green one is basically with mana creatures. It allows you to play like the Ponza game with Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl, except it just starts to play. You don't need to do all the craziness. You just need to have any mana creature in that, and then on turn 2 you have 4 mana. Pretty impressive. All right, we got these viewers ticking up here. So a couple things, guys. Now there's about 20 of you guys in here watching. Number 1, Super Chat is live. So this is the second time I've ever done one of these things with a Super Chat. So the comments over here on the right are going to roll, and I'm going to read the ones that I can get to as I talk to you guys about ideas and brews. If you have something that you specifically would like to hear read on the stream, and you want me to talk about it, or you just want to support the show because you just think that what we do is awesome, I don't even know how it works because I've never actually done one. But the last time I did the stream, a couple people donated a few dollars. It was humbling, unbelievable. So you are able to do that. It's over here on your chat, I think. There's a button that you can do the Super Chat, I think. So that's the thing that I'll throw to. On that note, patreon.com/theMMCast. Alex and I actually are working on introducing a bunch of cool new perks. So one of these things that we've been talking about is the fact that the Patreon has been kind of dead for a long time. We haven't uploaded a lot of additional content to it. And the handful of you guys that are still contributing there, it's so much appreciated because our ability to expand the content and hire a producer and be more consistent, that's all come from the Patreon. I mean, every dollar. If it's not the Patreon, we pay out of pocket. And so we are going to be adding some cool new stuff. One of the things we're going to be doing is there's a private Discord server now where you can post your brew ideas that when we're doing these streams, because Alex is going to start doing one of these every week as well, we're going to find that Discord server. We're going to take brew ideas from there and sometimes talk about our inspired brews that we get from you guys and then talk about them here on the stream, which will be super fun. It's an interesting landscape we're in right now with modern. Like, it's not, this is not your father's modern, so to speak. You know, a few years back, you could brew something in modern that was of a relative low power level and run it out there at a GP and maybe win 5 or 6 matches. Kind of in a different world now. If you want to be competitive, your brew has to be not only clever and powerful, but it has to attack the format in a really specific way. It's discouraging when you're trying to come up with powerful things, because if it's incredibly powerful, just like right off the bat good, then what ends up happening is somebody else will discover it and probably play at an event and do well with it and take credit for it. If it's medium powerful, right? If it's not like super, super powerful, it takes you cracking the code to figure out what is the thing that's going to push it over the edge. And otherwise, it just doesn't really play. You can play it at like an F&M or with your friends. Like a lot of my brews will be that way. But it's a different ball game that we're in now. You're trying to come up with stuff that's going to be competitive and modern. So I have 2 or 3 different ideas, variations on brews that I'm going to talk about tonight that I'm really excited about. I don't actually know, because I haven't gotten to play any of them yet. I came up with most of them in the last 24 hours on airplanes. I built them all on my phone. But I think they're cool, and I think you guys are going to like them because they're wacky, and they're totally like my style. So I'm just going to shout a couple quick people out here in the chat. There's a few people in here talking. Michael Hahn says, brew me a decent Mardu Pyromancer built. Sweet. That deck is awesome. Chally, Modern Vampires, please. Well, Chally, you may get your wish here tonight. I don't have the list yet. My Vampires list is not done, but it's a weird one. And it's really, 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 really cool. Will the Discord be part of Patreon? How do we get that ASAP? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't have any idea how the integration of these things works. Alex is better at that than I am, but I know because we talked about it earlier today on the phone. That's a thing. You are going to be able to like join that. I think what I can tell you is this: everybody at the $5 tier on Patreon, so patreon.com/theMMcast, at the $5 tier is going to get a message sent to them this week that's going to have a link to that private Discord server. And that is the way we're going to be communicating these brews. Now, it's not like in the old days where once a month we'd come up with some cool stuff and really build it out and talk about it extensively in the matchups. This is going to be way, way, way more like, I had an idea on the airplane. I'm like, okay, I'm going to build this. I'll tinker with it and solitaire hand it for like 10 minutes. I think this is cool. This is the best place I got it to. Now I'm going to upload the list, and I'm going to just like put the list into the Discord server. You guys can talk about it. Or on the flip side, if you do the exact same thing, if you come up with something you think is really cool and you post it in there, I can't promise every one of them is going to get talked about. Again, like, we have to be able to make sure we're prioritizing content in a way. So if you are at probably a higher Patreon level, it'll probably be a guarantee. If you are in the super chat and you have posted it and you like post the super chat, we'll probably stuff like that. You know, we have to be able to sort through them. It's all kind of a new idea right now. But the point is, we are going to be taking your ideas that you post in that Discord server, and those ideas are going to be talked about here on the stream. It gives us more opportunities because it's more than just the one show a week that we're doing. And so going beyond that one show a week is going to allow us to just kind of casually for 10 minutes talk about these things. Or Alex can talk about it, or I will talk about it solo. So here we go. Let's see. Ryan Scott, hey, I actually caught this live. How much do I have to give you for you to look at my deck? I was just talking about this. So it's a thing we're going to be doing, patreon.com/theMMcast tonight, because that's not set up yet, and we don't have that whole setup yet. I will say, I don't know. How do I want to do this? I'll probably be live for the next 35 minutes. I want to talk about some of the ideas that I came up with, and I want to field some questions. I will tech 3 people's decks from the chat tonight. So if 3 of you want to get me your list at some point, and donate $5 to the super chat, that's what I'll say. That's what it's going to, because I don't have that much time tonight. So if you want to do that, $5 to the super chat and get me the list. Probably you could just post it in the chat here, but it might get rolled over. So, but if you do $5 in the super chat, we'll find a way to get my list, me your list. That's what I mean, and I will do a critique of it live on the stream tonight. That's a one-time thing we're doing tonight. I'm just going to try it out and see how it goes. So I will remind people of that in a little bit. Thank you for asking there. Ryan, I appreciate it. We've got about 30 of you guys in the chat now. There's only 10 likes, though. Let's get those likes up, guys. Come on, everybody who's watching, just go ahead and click the thumbs up button. Takes nothing. Let's get those likes up to the same numbers. We can keep this thing rolling. The big thing that I spent time today and yesterday thinking about is, oh, here we go. I just got a text. Let's see. I'm going to respond to someone here. Come on by. All right, so the big thing I want to talk about tonight are some of these brews. I started thinking a lot about Claim Fame Unearthed brews. That was like the place that I went to that I messed around with for quite a while on my phone. And so tonight is going to be less about a refined list specifically that I think is like the list, but I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 different versions. Now, one of them that I spent quite a bit of time working on is this kind of like graveyard-centric Goblin Engineer thing. I'm going to pull it up on my phone right now so I can talk to you guys a little bit about it. This one I tested a bunch of times. I don't think it's like super duper powerful by any means. Oh God, these decks are all so sweet though. All right, I got to save this one. This one is called Save to Local. And this one is called, what are we going to call this one? We'll call this one Dread Horde Visions. There's one of the things it's doing. All right, so now we're going to load something else up here. Manage deck file. Okay, here we go. So let's see. Show Martin. Okay, so it's a link to a list here. Martin Lalise, if that means that you want me to review the thing, that's what I was just talking about a second ago. We're doing the first 3 people to do $5 in the super chat tonight. I will review your decks live on air here. So if that's what you want to do, let me know. All right, so the one that I brewed the other day that I think is silly but kind of sweet is a Goblin Engineer deck. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about this Goblin Engineer deck, and yes, it does play Mir Superior. I think I actually texted Alex that I had some ideas to play this yesterday while he was recording part 3 of our set review with Michael Grothy, the sort of honorary 3rd host of our show now, because I was in somewhere, wherever the hell I was. I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But I brewed some stuff up on my phone, and yeah, Viper Fang 4. Wasn't there some other mysterious massive on Discord that never got put in video podcast description links? Probably. I have to apologize to anybody who's aware of stuff like that. We've been pretty bad about that stuff historically. That's why we hired a producer. We're getting better at it, though. We are getting better at it. So this list is a Goblin Engineer idea. And so the whole premise behind this is, okay, so if Goblin Engineer is kind of like a red Stoneforge Mystic in the sense that it's a toolbox card, comes down on 2, if you can utilize your graveyard properly, gets you some value, gets you something that you can use, and customizes your strategy a little bit. How can you make that work to your advantage? That was where the idea for the deck started, right? And my thought was, okay, so if I Goblin Engineer, well, I know that I can get Mir Superior and I can put it in my graveyard, right? Superior obviously can be reanimated. And if I have other cards, artifacts that I'm playing that I can get value out of and swap out with the Engineer, it means I can start to play kind of a value engine. Now, I don't know if Mir Superior is even really competitive enough in Modern anymore, especially to have to jump through hoops to get it on like turn 3 like that. Kind of like I used to play a Vial on turn 1, and then on turn 3, end of turn, you could flash in the Superior. But there is still something to be said for the fact that probably it's not the only thing you would be doing. It's a powerful thing you can do, but it's not the only powerful thing. So right off the bat, my thought was with Goblin Engineer, if I'm playing 4 of those, I can play 4 Nile Spellbomb, or at least some number of Nile Spellbomb to go in. Not only that, when you sacrifice a Nile Spellbomb to a Goblin Engineer, you can pay the black cost to draw the card, even if you didn't sacrifice it for the ability to nuke a graveyard. So if you just have it on the battlefield and you sacrifice it to something else, but you pay for the black, you'll still draw the card off the graveyard trigger, which I think is pretty cool and kind of interesting and unique. It doesn't hurt to have a few copies of Nile Spellbomb just in the main. Here we go. Ryan Scott, big, just going for it in the super chat, dropping cheddar. He's got a list here. Ryan, we're gonna get to your deck tech tonight, my friend. Thanks. Huge thank you to Ryan Scott. It's the biggest super chat I've ever seen. I've done them twice. That's awesome. I can't wait to look at this list. Ryan, I will get to your list just as soon as I'm done getting through this Superior Goblin Engineer thing. And then my plan right now is to get to my Vampires idea at the end of the stream a little bit to talk to you guys about it. Spoiler alert, it uses the new spoiled M23 mana Soren. Yeah, pretty wild. But hopefully we get there, but I will get to your deck next, Ryan, just as soon as I'm done with this. Guys, a quick reminder, there's about 20 of you that will like the video, about 30 of you in the chat. If the 20 of you that have not, just go ahead and click that thumbs up button. Let's get those likes up. Come on, guys. If you're watching the video this long, takes nothing. Let's just make sure we get this thing up at the same number. The video will do better, the channel will grow, and all the cool things will happen. We can keep doing great stuff. Be sure to catch Alex and I in Seattle this weekend, by the way. Grand Prix Seattle, Magic Fest, Runa Live podcast this weekend from the show. Come say what's up. We're going to be playing games of Modern. It's going to be awesome. All right. So, Goblin Engineer, right? We're playing 4 copies of Engineer. We're playing 4 Superior. It could be wrong to be playing 4 Superior. I don't actually know if it's good enough. But I do know that playing at least 2 copies of Nihil Spellbomb to go along with this is pretty cool. Now, another card that I really like in here is Bomat Courier. Bomat Courier, obviously, being the haste 1-mana, 1/1 artifact that when it attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. And for 1 red, you can sacrifice and discard your hand and put all cards exiled with Bomat Courier into your hand. What I like about Bomat Courier is that it starts to create a clock on turn 1. Obviously, we saw this card was very, very good in Standard. But what's especially cool about it is that cards like Mirror Superior that you really don't want to have in your hand, and as I get a little bit further into the list and we talk a little bit more about some of the reanimation plans, there are some cards you just don't want in your hand. So having Bomat Courier is something that you can repeatedly get down on turn 1. You can sacrifice it on turn 3 to your Engineer. You can put one into play from the graveyard and attack with it if you need to just like start to create some advantage, a clock. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff you can do with it. So I wanted to play the 4 Bomat Courier. I think it's a strong play in this deck. I'm playing a single copy of Mirror Retriever, which some of you guys remember from the Eggs deck, or the not the Eggs deck, the Ironworks deck, right? So 2 mana, 1/1 artifact creature, Mirror. When Mirror Retriever is put in the graveyard from play, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So the cool thing about Retriever is that obviously if it's in play, if you draw it at any point, if you sacrifice it to your Engineer to reanimate something else, you then return something from your graveyard to your hand the same. So it starts to kind of create that loop value. But it also, because it is a 2-mana card, plays with the whole Claim Fame Unearth stuff, which we are getting to a little bit later. Some of the limitations that this deck had is that because of Claim Fame and Unearth and the way that the Engineer reanimation trigger work, you're going after creatures and you're going after artifacts, but the Nihil Spellbombs don't interact with your Claim Fames and things like that. So it's kind of one of those, classic 2 halves of a deck thing, but I will kind of talk a little bit more about where the deck is going. All right, continuing through here. 3 copies of Tidehollow Sculler. I know, it's a weird one, but I think Sculler is particularly cool. I always loved Sculler. It's like one of my favorite cards of all time. Disruption in Modern is generally pretty good. One of the coolest things about Tidehollow Sculler is if you play a Goblin Engineer on turn 2 and you put a Mirror Superior or something like that into your graveyard, then on turn 3, play a land, cast Tidehollow Sculler, trigger on the stack, 1 red, sacrifice the Sculler, returning whatever good artifact you got into your graveyard on turn 2 with the Engineer, exiling a card from their hand forever, and getting back your sweet thing. It's not exactly like all the value in the world because you're still just basically 1-for-1 in cards, but you are creating like a pretty cool interaction loop. And the same thing with the Unearths and the Claim Fames. Sculler's another really, really solid 2-drop that you can get back with stuff like Claim Fame. So I put in a single copy of Phyrexian Revoker just because in the Tron matchup, whatever, honestly, probably in the Hardened Scales matchup, there's a lot of these ones where putting something, basically a living pithing needle on the battlefield is going to be really, really helpful. Yeah, so Matthew Monzo is asking if I can link the list. I don't have a great version of it. I have a 60-card version that I put together on the airplane yesterday. It's okay. I have to decide how I want to do this going forward. If I want to link the lists in the descriptions of these videos, or if I want to exclusively put these lists in the Patreon Discord server. I'm not totally sure yet. For right now, I'm going to just talk about them on the stream. As information becomes more available, I'll be sure to post where you can find it and all that kind of cool stuff. So guys, stay tuned. I'm going to be reviewing Ryan Scott's deck next. As soon as I'm done with this brew, Ryan donated an awesome donation in the super chat here. And I announced earlier on the stream that the first 3 people to donate $5 tonight, I would be doing reviews of their decks on air. So if anybody else wants to get in on that action, feel free. I'm also going to be talking about the beginnings of a pretty cool vampires idea that I wanted to talk about. So continuing down the list, I threw in a single copy of Scrapheap Scrounger. this is where you start to get into the weirdness of the artifacts versus spells versus creatures thing, because you don't really want to exile creatures from your graveyard in the deck. You're not playing enough of them. But I still think having Scrounger that you can cast on turn 2 to be kind of aggressive is good, but also having Scrounger that you can get with an Engineer, if you don't want to have to go through all the bells and whistles and hoops, is fine. It could be bad. Other cards that I have a single copy of Ravager in the main. I don't know. I like having another sack outlet, right? Like I think I like being able to sacrifice the 1 Retriever. I like being able to sacrifice the Sculler with the trigger on the stack. There's a number of reasons. And then finally, the last creature that I have in the main deck list right now is 2 copies of Seasoned Pyromancer. This is weird because it's not totally on theme, but with the entire idea of Claim Fame on Earth, I'm playing 3 copies of Unearth here, and I really wanted a way to discard cards that I didn't want in my hand to get them back off Claim Fame on Unearth, which the card is really, really good at. And I also just wanted a little bit of card advantage. So if I game myself out and I run out of cards, I can just cast this, don't discard anything, so I don't have any cards, and draw 2. It's a nice way to kind of get back in the game a little bit. And then late game just to push a little bit of extra damage. He might be the weak link in the deck. He might have to go. So now we get to the spells in the deck. Currently, I've got 2 copies of Claim Fame. I've got 4 copies of Faithless Looting, obviously. 2 copies of Lightning Bolt. 2 Path to Exile. 2 Nile Spellbomb. 1 Pyrite Spellbomb, which kind of weird, right? Like, not the best, but fine. It's just so if you have an Engineer and you need to search up like a burn spell, you can, basically. 3 copies on Earth. Single copy of Cranial Plating. And 1 copy of Smuggler's Copter. Now, the idea with the Cranial Plating and the Smuggler's Copter are pretty obvious. Obviously, Smuggler's Copter is just kind of doing everything the deck wants. It's activating off basically any of the creatures. It's drawing and discarding. It's an evasive threat. It's in the air. It's an artifact. A lot of cool things to it. The real idea with the plating is that because of Engineer and because of the nature of the deck, you may have a turn where you're like, all right, I play Goblin Engineer, already have an Engineer in the battlefield, sack an artifact, put plating into play, suit it up to one of my creatures, swing for like 9 or something. It's just kind of an idea. Bomat Courier obviously is good with it. Just being able to just get through and they don't see it coming. And then currently the list be playing 20 lands. That's the basis of the list that I put together. I tested it on my phone a bunch. It's pretty fun. Goblin Crater Maker is the last card I forgot to mention. I'm playing a single copy of Crater Maker in the deck. It's fun. It's cool. It's probably not that powerful. I think if I was to tune it a little bit more in the direction of Engineer, lots of utility out of my artifacts, get rid of the probably Claim Fames, get rid of the Superiors, and probably honestly getting rid of like the Claim Fame plan. The deck's probably better. I'm not totally sure. I have to play some games with it, but I definitely think there's something very cool with Goblin Engineer as kind of a toolbox artifact thing, and then getting some value with something like a Sculler and stuff like that. I think there's actually something here. It feels pretty powerful, but I'll continue to work on that. All right, let's see some comments here. Let's see here. Exciting, another fun. Brew says Paradox THC. Thank you. Yeah, I think this one's fun. I wanted to brew with some of these cards. Let's see here. So I already answered that one. Is this a Rakdos Claim Fame artifact deck? Clark Lovejoy asks. And yes, it's actually a Mardu artifact Claim Fame deck. It's pretty weird. Viper Fang 4 is Mishra's Bobble in the deck? It's not. And if I was actually going to originally, instead of Bobble, I had put Arkham's Astrolabe in here, and I had kept the deck 2 colors. That was before I added Sculler. Once I added a 3rd color, I didn't feel like I could get away with Snowlands anymore. But definitely you're on the right track of, artifacts that you can sacrifice for value that get you. But that's why Spellbomb came to mind right off the bat. Is I really like the idea of being able to sacrifice, draw off it, and still use it in other situations, get it back later if I need it, stuff like that. So Matthew Monzo, yes, that's true. I think bobbles make the deck more consistent. Maybe. It's possible. You just don't get that much value out of Bobble. It's just a cycling artifact card. I think Bobble would make more sense in the deck if I was playing a version that had blue and played in Soul Artifact. That would make more sense to me. But I'll keep working on it. So, all right, guys, there's almost 40 of you in the chat here. Let's make sure we knock those likes all the way up. We're almost even, which is pretty cool. You guys have been listening. I appreciate that. I want to get to this deck, this Ryan Scott deck. Ryan donated an unbelievably sweet donation to the super chat here. This is the second time I've ever had super chat turned on. Even if you just like brews, you want to donate $1 just because you you think what we're doing is cool, feel free. Obviously, every dollar helps us support the show, and we hired a producer recently, which is because of the Patreon, honestly. And we're hoping that doing some of these chats and things will make it a little easier to sustain the cost of growth and make sure we can keep to make the brand better. So that is my current brew that I have come up with for Goblin Engineer. All right, Ryan Scott. Let's get to your deck list, my friend. Okay, going to another. Let's see if I'm off the page. Can you still? Here we go. All right, sweet. Okay, so here we go. Looks like we are doing a. Oh, I just moved the camera around. I don't want to do that too much. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, I am gonna just minimize my screen size here so I can try to look at both. I want to be able to still look at you guys, but then also look at the deck. 1 second here. Hang tight. All right. All right, so here is the list. Looks like we are kind of a dredgy, hollow one type of deck. Holy moly, we're doing all kinds of cool stuff here. So I got 3 copies of Carrion Feeder. I got 3 copies of Gravecrawler. That's the core of basically the deck that is being played right now, the Hogak deck. I do see 2 copies of Hogak in here as well. I see 4 copies of Insolent Neonate. Okay, you guys remember Neonate. It's a great dredge card. 4 copies of Stitcher's Supplier. God, they just keep printing cards over the last few years that make a strategy like this so good. We got 3 copies of Bloodghast, 4 Prize Amalgam, 4 Simian Spirit Guide. We got 4 Vengevine, 4 Hollow One, 4 Street Wraith. As I mentioned, 2 Hogak Arisen Necropolis, the unbelievably sweet Delve Convoke card. We got 4 Faithless Looting, 4 Cathartic Reunion, and only 13 lands here. 4 Blackleaf Cliffs, 4 Blood Crypt, 1 Swamp, and 4 Mana Confluence. All right, so right off the bat, I'm looking here. This looks like it's a combination of a couple different decks. I will talk about the sideboard quickly. 4 Lightning Axe, 4 Nature's Claim, 3 Thoughtseize, 4 Leyline of the Void. Going hard on your sideboard cards. I appreciate that. I like that. All right, looking at the chat here, making sure. I want to make sure I see what Ryan is saying here. All right, so Ryan Scott, this deck has various builds. This is my current with the new spoilers. Cool. Awesome. All right, so looking through it right off the bat, what you're trying to do here, right, is you're trying to sort of be that. You're trying to be the all-in, play your early drops, create your engine, get your multiple creatures on the battlefield to trigger your Vengevine. You've obviously got your 4 Faithless Lootings and your Cathartic Reunions to get this whole thing going. The funny part about this deck is that I actually feel like your guy who should be deck teching this is Alex. So I'm actually probably what I'm going to do, because we're recording our set review tomorrow, our final part, as well as our preview card that's going to debut on Monday. I'll probably pull this list up again and do a second over with it with Alex, because this is his world, these cards in particular. But I will take a look at it and see what I can come up with. So it's interesting that you're playing 4 Hollow One in this deck, right? This basically looks like that's the one sort of odd card, unless I'm missing something. And then also 13 land. You're playing the 13 land with the 4 Spirit Guides and the 4 Street Wraith. So it's such a low land count, I'm assuming, because you just want to get the chain going as fast as possible, and you just want, but without the Altar of Dementia win condition, how is the deck taking advantage of Hogak other than just him being a big good creature? Is my question. Obviously, he's a big body, and getting an 8/8 trample, like presumably on turn 2, I would think. Carrion Feeder, Gravecrawler. But you're not dredging, right? Yeah, the deck isn't dredging. So how are you filling your graveyard fast enough early on in the deck? So Stitcher Supplier mills you 3. But most of the other cards, because you don't have dredge in the deck, yeah, that would be my first question for you. I mean, I see the lootings and the Cathartic Reunions, but with no fetch lands, how are you supposed to reliably take advantage of Hogak as an early huge drop? That would be my first question. He is a big good creature. LOL. I mean, I agree. I thought that card was super dope when I read it, but let's keep in mind, before the tech was discovered with Altar, the card was like $1, not even. and it shot up to like 20 as soon as the tech came in for it to be a 4 of in this big deck. So before we had figured out a way to abuse it beyond being a big, good creature, it wasn't given as much respect. So that would be the first place is like I see the Hogak and the Hollow One plan feel like they have replaced sort of some of the dredginess or the additional lands that the traditional builds of this deck play. I'd have to pull one up right in front of me to take a look at it. However, Ryan, just for the record, I am somebody who always opts to do something weird and fun. I prefer it way more. A second. So you're playing lots and lots and lots and lots of creatures, right? You can in the same way that the old Hollow Index could do it, between a Street Wraith and a Faithless Looting, you can land like a turn 1 Hollow One. That's an easy thing to do. Let's see, the Spirit Guide plus a land allows you to Cathartic Reunion, which can get you Hollow Ones into play. You have tons of 1-drops. You have the Gravecaller Carrion Feeder engine that you can just kind of get going with early. But yeah, what I'm wondering is, so take a card like Insolent Neonate, right? Insolent Neonate, 1 red for a 1/1 menace, discard a card, sacrifice Insolent Neonate, draw a card. Where am I getting value off of this? You just want to be able to discard. You like want to be able to basically like discard Vengevine and like start to set up, I guess, discard Prized Amalgam. It feels like there might be a better. Feels like there might be a better way to make this deck hum than to play the Neonate. Because unless I'm mistaken, Insolent Neonate cannot work to cast Hogak in any way other than just his delve cost because he's red. The Carrion Feeder and the Gravecrawler and the Stitcher Supplier, Bloodghast, they all make a little more sense if you're going to try to go Hogak, if you're going to go ham with him. But I think, in fact, as I look at this more and more, no, of course you need the red because you need the discard spells. And then here's my other question. You've played this deck a bunch, Ryan. How does it work with the mana? Do you find that you stall out and you're often land light? Do you get mana screwed a lot? Yeah, right. Normally turn 1, set up a turn 2, explode. That makes sense. Now that makes sense to me. I feel like, so you guys, he posted the list here actually in the chat a little bit up here. Just right under, you can see his super chat donation up here, and the list is right below it. So if you guys want to click on it, you can look at the list here as well, and you can sound off while we talk about it here. But yeah, it does seem like it has tons of cool interactions. Obviously Vengevine and Hollow One, these are all cards that I really, really like. These are favorites of mine. Stitcher Supplier is such a cool card. Yeah, Neonate feels like it's maybe one of the odd cards here. Neonate, possibly Spirit Guide. I tend to flood, he says. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess because of Street Wraith, you're playing less lands. Like, how does this do against like Burn? This feels like Mana Confluences and Street Wraiths, untapped Blood Crypt. This feels like you're definitely starting at least 17, probably like more like 15 with the Street Wraiths. Yeah, I'd be curious to know. This deck's pretty cool though. It definitely looks like it'd be super fun to play. Prized Amalgam. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, Clark Lovejoy. Maybe Burning Inquiry over Neonate. I was thinking something similar because you want to sculpt your hand, and I get that, but I don't know that having the 1/1 red creature for 1 helps your strategy as much as it would just. Okay, so Overly Mediocre Gaming says Neonate also triggers bridge to get another black creature for the Hogak. Not sure if that got brought up, but there is no bridge in this version. Have top-aided 300-man events with it. Wow. Cool. It's too fast for burn, says Ryan. Yeah, this definitely looks really, really sweet. So then I look at the sideboard here a little bit. If you've been having a lot of success with it, honestly, I mean, it's a pretty unique version of a deck like this. So it's very, very specific with the interactions here. I do think Burning Inquiry seems pretty interesting. What's your, like, Ryan, my question to you is, what's your normal win condition? Like, what are you winning with the most? What do you think is the best card in the deck? Because that's the strategy I would lean into the most if you wanted to make any changes to it. Yeah, Lightning Axe, Nature's Claim, these all make a lot of sense. Thoughtseize. the 4 ley line. Yeah, ley line's epic. All right, I'm going to spend another couple minutes on this deck here. I will bring this back up with Alex on the show tomorrow. Yeah. If you can answer that question for me, Ryan, what your biggest win condition is, I will think about it one more time before I take this list to Alex tomorrow. We talk about it a little bit more. Guys, if you're watching, if you're listening, wow, we've got more likes than we have viewers right now. So people listen. You guys are awesome. That's unbelievable. I'm probably streaming here for about 10 to 12 more minutes, I would guess. I have this Vampires brew that I want to talk about a little bit that I've been coming up with. I think is pretty cool. A quick shout out to everybody who's watching or listening. We have set review part 4 coming out next week, part 3 coming out this week. Alex and I will be at Magic Fest Seattle doing a live stream. I don't actually know if we're going to be streaming the podcast. We're doing a live show though. GP Seattle and Channel Fireball has been kind enough to invite us to do a live show there, which I'm really excited about. I have teched one deck tonight, one deck of my own creation because I came up with all these cool ones on the plane. I wanted to talk about more of them, but I don't have that much time tonight. I just did a deck tech for Ryan Scott. Okay, so his answer to the question of the deck we were just talking about is Vengevine and Hollow One, which makes sense. Super explosive, but I don't like Burning Inquiry because it's super random. Right, it's hard to specifically control what you're doing. Vengevine and Hollow One both seem really, really sweet. If that's the case, though, do you get Hollow Ones into play enough of the time quick enough without something like Burning Inquiry? That would be my only sort of thought, is that Neonate doesn't do that much work. It gets you 2 mana off the cost, whereas an Inquiry just on its own just does it. If you draw 1 off the Inquiry after the draw discard. So I don't know. Would love to know what you are thinking, Ryan Scott. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for contributing. Thank you so much for putting forth your thoughts here in the chat. It's really, really, really generous of you to donate to the Super Chat, which if you guys are listening or watching, you are able to, at any point in time, donate anything as low as $1 to the Super Chat if you want to support the show and what we're doing here. Trying to find ways to create more content. And specifically, Kiwi Doc has posted a couple lists here. Kiwi, the deal with our story tonight was that we were going to be teching the first 3 people to donate $5 to the Super Chat. So if you do want a deck tech live on air, if you do want a deck tech, that's the way to do it, is donate $5 to the Super Chat. Otherwise, I'm gonna continue to go through the night, and the next time. Oh, Kiwi Doc just reposted Ryan's deck. I appreciate that, Kiwi. Thank you. Just so we could make sure that people could read it in the chat. Yeah, if you guys want to check out the deck we were just talking about, it has been reposted here by Kiwi Doc. Thank you, Kiwi. Much appreciated. So, Vampires. This is a weird idea that I have. I started coming up with it earlier today, and it is based entirely on the new 3-mana Soren. So that's a Beelzebubster. New Soren is a must in Vampire decks. All abilities are great. So that was what inspired me to start thinking about it. New Soren, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, is 1 black, 2 colorless. I got to pull it up here so I can read it. 2 black, 1 colorless, and it is a Soren Imperious Bloodlord. He's 4 loyalty Planeswalker Soren, +1, target creature you control gains Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. If it's a vampire, put a +1/+1 counter on it. +1, you may sacrifice a vampire. When you do, Soren Imperious Bloodlord deals 3 damage to any target, and you gain 3 life. So it's bolts. It's pretty sweet. -3, you may put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. So I started thinking about this. Chally, I see that you have posted a card here. It looks like that is probably the new Soren here, I'm guessing. Let's check that out and see. Yep, that's exactly right. In the live chat there, Chally just posted the new Soren. You guys can check it out. Ryan Scott, thank you for another donation. You're awesome, man. That is so generous of you with your. That's unbelievable. I can't believe it. Ryan types here. Thank you for your time. This is the deck that I'm always tweaking. I will keep your thoughts in mind with my new designs. Hey, dude. Honestly, that is such a generous donation to what we're doing here that my mind is blown. I'm really taken aback. And you just so you guys know, Alex and I've done the show for 4.5 years together. For basically no money. We've definitely lost money on the show by now. We love doing it, and that's why we do it. And so it's only kind of recently we've started to try to find ways to maybe add some ads, or we launch the YouTube channel, monetizing, stuff like that, to make sure that we can continue to find ways to prioritize the show. Because for about a year there, with the launch of the toy company, it got a little harder to find time for it. And so we really wanted to make sure that it continued and that it was awesome. And so we have started to launch a few new things. And this super chat feature on the live streams is one of them. So Ryan Scott, thank you so much for being so generous in doing that. It really, really does go a long way in our ability to keep doing what we're doing. So thanks, man. And I'll keep doing these chats, and I'll bring your deck up again with Alex to see if he has any cool ideas for it. It looks super badass. All right. So 3 mana Soren, 1 blue, 2 colorless. Yeah, Matthew Monzo. Feels longer than 4.5 years. To me, too. So I read the abilities. You can see it in the chat here. Charlie just posted it. My sort of thought with this was like, all right, I like this new Soren so much. They've always pushed vampires, but the issue with vampires is that to make a vampires deck work, you have to justify why you're playing vampires over humans or spirits, or at this point, slivers. Any of the other tribes you could be playing that you have access to multiple colors. And they've tried to branch vampires into black-white. They try to branch them into red-black. They try to add madness. And they've tried to add more discard features, going wide. The thing I like so much about this card is that your ability to top deck a vampire and turn it into a lightning helix, that right off the bat, I'm like, okay, so there is already going to be a tribal synergy with something like Kalastria Highborn, or just vampires that you're okay sacrificing. So the first card that I think of that really got me excited was Oathsworn Vampire. So you guys remember Oathsworn Vampire? He's 2 mana. I think he's from the last set. I'm gonna read what he does here. 1 black, 1 colorless, 2/2. Oathsworn Vampire enters the battlefield tapped. You may cast Oathsworn Vampire from your graveyard if you gain life this turn. What's so cool about Oathsworn Vampire is that if you play it on turn 2, untap, attack with it on turn 3. Let's say they take the 2. Then you cast Soren, plus Soren, sacrifice the Oathsworn Vampire, right? Bolt them, whatever. Maybe you use the other Soren ability first. Maybe you put a vampire into play that turn. Whatever it is, the next turn, when you have mana open, you can plus Soren, sacrifice the Oathsworn Vampire, Lightning Helix, and then replay him from your graveyard because of the life gain off the Soren ability. That's a sweet combo to have in your deck. That just right there as just an engine right off the bat is like, all right, so I already like where I'm going with this. Now I'm recursive. I have a way to protect my walker. That's like interaction. I can play lightning bolts without playing lightning bolts. That's pretty cool. I also really like the idea of playing the 1/1 vampire for 2 that when it enters the battlefield, you lose a life and draw a card. Any way that I can to stack my deck with more vampires that are just going to be cannon fodder, I'm into. Now, I started thinking about this. Okay, if we're, instead of trying to go wide with this, if we're going to be kind of an engine-driven vampire deck that plays this 3 mana Soren, what are some of the biggest vampires that I can put into play, right, that with his minus ability? And there's not that many good ones. A lot of the really big vampires are just sort of mediocre. They don't do that much. The one right off the bat that I thought was especially cool, though, was Chancellor of the Dross. And it's not because the card itself is that powerful, but it's more because anytime in Modern you're doing things for free, it's pretty strong. Chancellor of the Dross is part of the Chancellor cycle from New Phyrexia, right? So black 4 for a 6/6 flying lifelink vampire. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do at the beginning of the first upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life, then you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool to just like don't get me wrong, like I see the limitations of this. I like the idea of starting the game by drain gaining 3. We've seen how powerful Creeping Chill can be in multiples. It's very good. The fact that Chancellor of the Dross can do that, but then you can cast your Soren and minus to put a 6/6 flying lifelink creature onto the battlefield seems pretty good. If they have a Path to Exile, fine. They're still just trading Path to Exile 1 for 1 for your card. So Jade Wheatley says Necropolis region is good it's a good one if you go wide, and I don't disagree with you. There are definitely different. Probably largely black. So getting to a few other cards that I think are pretty cool. I like the idea of the 4 Chancellor of the Dross for Soren plan. The other card that I've always wanted to use in Modern and I've never found a way to use it, and this deck makes me feel like maybe it's the one that I could do, is Soul Spike. So Soul Spike is the card from the Bounty of the Hunt, retooling from Cold Snap, right? So it's black 4, I believe, and it's deals 4 damage to any target, and you gain 4 life. It actually might be target creature or player because it's before the retooling of the wording. but so it might not be able to interact with the Planeswalker. But it costs 6 to cast, but you may exile 2 black cards from your hand to play it without paying its mana cost. So I look at this and I start to think to myself, all right, if I'm playing sort of like this engine-y, mono black, Soren-driven vampires deck, right? Probably is playing hand disruption on turn 1 that'll get worse as the game goes on. How can I keep drawing cards? How can I keep the cards in my hand that count high enough that I have these extra cards to discard and exile to things like Soul Spike? I want to be able to play free things. I really want to be able to lock my opponent down, lots and lots of interaction, and then ultimately just have an engine that wins the game. And right off the bat, when I think about Liliana, sorry, not Liliana, I think about Soren and Oathsworn Vampire. And that right there is like, if I'm playing mono black vampire control with Soren, that alone is already enough of an engine where with Colostria Highborn, I could be doing like 5 damage a turn, right? You plus it to Helix, you pay the black to drain gain 2 when it happens. If you have like drained their hand, interacted, killed some creatures, you guys are just sitting there on a board stall, you can literally be 5ing them a turn with that. It's not going to be that hard to do. The game just ends very quickly. Add together the fact that you've probably like domed off a Chancellor early in the game, maybe a Soul Spike, the game's going to be over pretty fast. I started thinking like Asylum Visitor would be pretty strong in this deck too, because if you're going to drain your hand down low really, really fast, a 3-power vampire on turn 2, that's going to allow you to draw extra cards, but not have to take like the Bob drawback of drawing a Chancellor. You just like lose a life and draw a card. Plus, if you strip their hand down, so Clark Lovejoy is asking, wouldn't you want to go black-white with the Aristocrat? Cool Celebrant. And I thought about it. I've been looking through the full list of vampires for a while here, and I think there's arguments to be made that you could go black-white. If you go black-white, then you can play Legion's Landing, which I think is a super strong card to combine with this. But ultimately, I think I'd want to keep it as simple as possible with the mana base, especially because if you keep it basically mono-black, it means that you can always splash for red and have Blood Moon on your sideboard and just wreck people. Because I don't think the point of this version is to go wide, is what I started to realize. There's a go wide vampires deck for sure. It's just not this one. This deck is trying to take huge advantage of Soren. And I think somebody asked in here, Victor Mayambe asks, how many Chancellor would you play? I think the answer is 4. I don't think you want to play a Chancellor unless you're playing 4. And I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine just playing Chancellor, like as a 4 of in my deck. I have to have ways to ditch it. That's the thing. So I'm going to need like Oath of the Bloodline or some card like that where I can discard cards. I think Oath of the Bloodline is pretty strong too because it's non-interactable. You can get rid of extra lands, discard Chancellors, things like that. But like I would need other ways to discard cards from my hand than just Soul Spike. But I see there being kind of a mid-rangey engine deck that's probably playing 4 to 6 hand disruption spells, 4 to 6 interaction spells, creature and just general removal, and then just a bunch of sweet vampires that are generating value and advantage that you're combining with Soren. And I think that this deck works. I'm like genuinely excited about it. I think you could totally play Hexmage. I think Hexmage is a generally pretty good card right now. It does a lot of good things interacting with getting rid of counters from the Hardened Scales deck. It does good things interacting with Karn or Ugin or things like that. We're going to see a lot of bannings that are going to happen pretty soon in Modern, I'm pretty sure. Alex and I will talk about this weekend in Seattle a little bit more, but I think there's a good shot that we see a lot of things get banned. And I think the format will slow down a little bit and get a little less crazy. So I think there'll be room to play with stuff that's a little bit more like engine-y and grindy and fair like this. But, right now, anything like this is going to be hard to do just because like the Hogak deck or the Neoform deck, they're just so oppressively powerful. But we will see as we go. So, guys, it is 49 minutes into the stream here. I'm going to spend 5 more minutes. A big thank you one more time to Ryan Scott for taking the time to submit the list, have me critique it on air, and obviously for the donation here in the super chat. One more time, anybody here who wants to throw in a buck or two to the super chat to support what we're doing, it is always appreciated. It will be appreciated every time. And if not, and you want to be a part of that, patreon.com/theMMcast Discord server, that is where we're going to be posting these lists so you guys can go review them. Become a $5 patron. That's the best way to do it. Patreon.com/theMMcast. A huge thanks to everybody in here. Kess Games is asking, how handsome is the list? It's pretty handsome. If that's Alex who's running the Kess Games channel right now, well, you don't even know about this list. I called you and you were at dinner and you didn't even get to hear me talk about it. It's so sweet. I'm playing 4 of this card. You bought the wrong Chancellor, Alex. Oh, you can't even read it. Chancellor of the Dross. I want to play 4 Chancellor. I'll just talk about it on stream. I'm gonna have to talk to you later. Can you say my name like a vampire? You want me to say it like Fatal? Is that the? I'm not gonna do it. I won't do it. You guys will have to tune into the show. Charlie, $5 in the super chat. Love it. Huge fan of what you're doing. You're the best. Charlie, thank you so much. Don't let the vampire dream die, says Charlie. Yeah, I don't intend to. I'm gonna build this list. Kess Games. Becca says hi. Which Becca? Which Becca? Which Becca are we talking here? I am. Oh, Becca says hi from the show, from Top Decking. That's pretty funny. Top Decking, guys. I played a vampire once. Alex Kessler, great friend, CEO of Kesco. You know, amazing stuff. Go check out Top Decking. It's online. Anyway, guys, I will, if anybody's interested, I'm going to be live here for 3.5 more minutes. If anybody has any questions, non-Magic related, anything they want to ask me, this is the time to do it. So throw out your questions, your Q&As. I'm happy to field questions for a couple of minutes here. And one more time, a huge thanks to everybody who liked the video, who hung out in the live chat, who donated to the super chat, or joined the Patreon. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the notification button so you will be alerted when we go live. We're doing this now every single week. I'm going to be doing this at least once. Alex will be doing it. We're talking about our brews. Join us in Seattle this weekend. And if I don't hear from anybody else in the chat, I'm going to probably jump off here one more time. If you're seeing what we're wearing here, Alex, you can see this. Look at this. Action Industries advisory board. Yeah, swag, right? The advisory board. Now we have custom hoodies. Dope. Ryan Scott, have a good night. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know, wrong group. No one cares. No one cares about Action Industries here. Jade Wheatley says, I may have missed it, but where your deck list is going to be listed. I haven't decided yet. Maybe Alex sounds off on this. If we're going to be doing the lists in here, like if we're going to be putting in the description, because like the lists are kind of unrefined, or if we're going to be making sure that we reserve the lists to post in that private Discord server for $5 and above patrons. I think for now they're going to be going into that Discord server. I think that's our plan. Okay, lists from the live streams are posted in the video, says Alex. Okay, maybe that's the way we're doing it. These lists are so unrefined. Like this vampires list doesn't exist yet. I'm going to have to create it. So as they spoil more cards, I will, and I will eventually post it because I'm going to build this deck. This deck sounds really, really fun. Curtis Weens, if you could be a vampire or werewolf, which would you choose? Definitely a vampire. All right, let's see here. Lynn Black, hey, do you think that Hollow One has the ability to keep up nowadays? It looks like it didn't get a whole ton of stuff in Horizons. I think that deck is really, really good. We did like a whole deck tech on Ryan's, Ryan Scott. Ryan Scott posted an awesome deck version of it. It's kind of like a hybridized Dredgevine Hollow One version that is available. You can see it's up there in the chat. It's really cool. That's a cool take on it. He's been doing really well with that deck. So I would recommend checking that out. They're shoving a bunch of vampires in M22 more were spoiled in the live stream, says Charlie. Sweet. Yeah, I'm excited for this vampires list. You guys will be hearing more from me. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out, for watching the live stream. Once again, I'll be back sometime soon. And if not, check me out in Seattle this weekend with Alex. Come jam modern games with us. We're going to have our Highlander Gauntlet wheels with us. We're going to be playing that. It's going to be super duper fun. We just want to hang out with you guys. Thank you all for supporting the YouTube channel. Click like, click subscribe button. And otherwise, we'll see you guys at the same time, same place next time. Bye, everybody.